This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. You are your greatest asset. It's time you started investing in that. Visit betterhelp.com/double toasted and take care of you. I don't think he's transphobic, but I do think his material is taking a very transphobic lean, and I don't think he realizes how much that is. And I just don't. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I just don't agree with it.
He's not aware of how harmful it is.
Hey everyone, I'm sure you heard by now, Double Toasted is heading out on tour, bringing you a night of comedy, games, and some interaction with the audience out there. Get tickets by going over to doubletoasted.com or going over to X1 Entertainment. Hey, we'll see you soon. Hey everyone, support our Patreon, which helps us to continue bringing you our live streams, videos, and podcasts while bringing you new content such as exclusive live streams and animated shorts. Dave Chappelle is back. Some people said, God damn it.
Oh, not you again.
The LGBTQ community is like, this Negro again. Why?
Can he just give us a break?
and y'all funny. LGBTQ community, y'all funny. Like, well, maybe he'll leave us alone this time. This man is back, and he says, you know what? Why the hell would I leave y'all alone? Because this is my last one for a while. It's called The Closer, his latest Netflix special. It's called The Closer. He says, I got to put in some work. And I said this at the beginning of the show. If this is my last one for a while, I have to piss off as many homos as possible. And anything close to them. Trans.
Especially trans.
Hey, any pronouns out there I can piss off? And the white people like, like, right? Woo! You're like, no, y'all gonna catch a little shrapnel too.
That's okay. It's been at ground zero for a lot of these.
Yeah, man. Everybody take cover. Shit, a few black people might get a bullet in the ass.
Right.
Dave is gone wild now. Dave's crazy. Shit, I don't know what got to him, but he's been mad for a while.
Hey, y'all gave him that Mark Twain award. He's like, I got nothing else nothing else to achieve.
Nothing else
I'll
at all.
burn all this down.
I got money. It's been a controversy with this latest special, and at this point now, some people are saying, you know what? I didn't want to say this, but now I'm just going to have to come out with it. I believe that Dave is homophobic.
Transphobic is what they mostly call him.
Mostly, but he covered all grounds. Mm-hmm. Or did he? Now, lately we've been seeing this whole thing of, people being overly sensitive when it comes to comedy. Then there's some people are saying, well, look, nobody's being oversensitive, but come on, man, be clever. Go out there and tell some jokes. You ain't got to attack one group all the time. Come on, man, give us a goddamn break. And there's other people, of course, they throwing down, Fox News ain't gave a shit about Dave Chappelle until he served their purpose. Mm-hmm. They I saw an article today. Dave Chappelle has gone out and drawn the ire once again of cancel culture. Leave Dave alone. Unless his black ass does something else to piss us off. Right. Is it as bad as they say it is? Let's go ahead and take a look. I think we try to be fair with comedy.
I certainly do.
I do. You know me, man. Look, I say things all the time that people would consider racist and homophobic, and I ain't stopped. I gave up. Yeah. I said I can't quit. And I know that I don't mean anything about it. I know I'm not a racist. I know I'm not a homophobe. So I think if anybody can sit up here and judge Mr. Chappelle fairly, I think it's us. Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer for The Closer.
Will you shut the up, Morgan Freeman?
So carry on, Dave.
Well, of course, you didn't see anything from the actual special in that. And I'm just going, let me go ahead and jump right into this. And I'm just going to tell y'all, man, I'm just happy the telling jokes.
Oh, you mean after that last one?
Yeah, the last two specials just been him venting.
Yeah.
Now, that George Floyd special that he had, 846, All right, I get that. We all had to get that out of our system.
Sure.
I give the brother that. You
Yeah.
know, if you need to get on stage and do it because you got the means to do it, that's fine. Though a lot of black people have been saying the same shit he was saying for decades.
Mm-hmm.
I know on this very show, ain't no hate, but I know we said some of the same things, but for some reason, a lot of white people like, because Dave said it, oh my God, it's so profound.
Yeah.
Oh, it's heart-wrenching. Bitch, we've been saying that for
Yeah, I said it so
years.
much I got tired of saying it.
I was like, you, man.
Hey, don't have that attitude just as long as it gets out there.
You know what? You're right. As long as somebody's putting it out there.
Yeah.
No. But no, okay. All right, no, as long as it's mess. Hey, if it takes Dave to give it out there,
Sure.
if it takes a Negro with money to do it, fine. But by the time my man got to, I think it was Sticks and Stones, he just mad.
Yeah. And it didn't help that you had a bunch of comedians. I mean, a lot of them just being quiet, like, I can't do this now. And the ones that were coming out were all doing that mad. I'm mad about the new world. I'm mad about this new culture. I can't tell jokes no more. Nobody can take it. I just want to be offensive and have people leave me alone.
Yeah, you know, and well, that's fine if you can make a joke.
Yes.
Make a joke, but Dave went out there and just went on a rant.
Yeah.
Mad at Comedy Central. Go fucking talk to Comedy Central. Ain't my fault.
Yeah, that whole thing about, and see how they screwed me over? Like, yeah, that has no bearing on me, though.
Yeah. Motherfucker, you got money.
Yeah, apparently it worked out.
Hey, it worked, but I just looked at this and I said, you know what? When he did that special, I was like, you know what he was like? He was like that funny friend that you have. That real funny friend that you can't go wait to have a beer with when they call. Cause you know you're gonna laugh.
Oh yeah.
You know you're gonna have a good time. And when you get there, they just mad and
They're mad, yeah.
And they want to talk. And by talk, they just want to yell at you, even though you didn't have shit to do with their bad day.
And they have a funny way of talking, so you keep expecting it to roll into a joke, and it just never does.
Well, that's the thing. You're happy to be there for a friend. You still like them. They're still the most interesting person that you know, but there's still a party like, I don't want to hear this shit. You could have warned the motherfucker that got here. I had my day is bad too.
It's also this friend in this scenario is very well to do. You might even say rich, but they're mad and want to bitch to you about the other money that they didn't make.
Imagine if you exactly. Imagine this. Imagine you've been hanging out with a rich friend, mother that tried to pay for your beer or your dinner or anything, and you don't ask.
Yeah, you
because
don't ask.
You got your pride.
Yeah.
That's why you're friends, because you don't ask him for anything.
Right.
But your broke ass had been around him for the longest time, and now he want his million ass. He ain't broke. He's just fine. Want to sit up there and say, man, can you believe they owe me $100?
Yeah.
Bitch, you.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to review this, y'all, to be honest with you. I did not want to review this right here because I'm going to tell you, man, you know, I heard the criticism with Dave Chappelle on this. I mean, you couldn't help but hear it.
Sure.
And Dave is one of those people who is such a legend that he gets a pass on everything he does, whether you agree with them or not. And I'm not saying that particularly about this special. I'm just saying Dave has reached that level now where you can't criticize him because you're gonna piss people off.
Well, I've been on this for a while with people telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. I think Dave is funny. He's brilliant. But I do think he's been kind of riding that pass for a while and doing things other comedians cannot get away with. Spend a whole show just conversing with hecklers in the audience instead of actually doing the show.
Yeah.
Cracking up at his own jokes.
Yeah.
And not telling that many jokes. Going off on rants like this.
Going off on rants. But people get, not only does he get a pass, but people get defensive if you criticize.
Yes.
People get mad if you criticize. You know, you get accused of anywhere from being uptight, stick in the mud, you can't take a joke. Oh, leave Dave alone. Well, you hate it because you ain't as successful as he is.
Or get the man, but Dave's the best though. You got to admit he's the best of all time. He's the GOAT. He's one of the greatest comedians ever lived. You're like, That's not what I'm not arguing that.
Because some people even throw down, man, you just woke like you want to cancel Dave. I can take all that shit, but the mother can't take the most is when you criticize and you give some legit points, and they say, yeah, but it's Dave, man. Bitch, fuck. Did you not hear a word that I said? Okay. So I didn't even want to review this, man, because if I dared to say anything that was negative about Dave Chappelle, then all of a sudden I'm one of the above. The hater, jealous, woke, want a counselor, can't take a stick in the mud. Well, I tell you, I was probably going to review it anyway because people are talking about it, and I should not be. I should challenge myself. I should not be afraid to confront people if I have a difference or a difference of an opinion or an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
And that's not to say that I even have one. Maybe I might love this thing right here. I'm not saying that I'm against it. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm going to give you an honest opinion. But before I say anything, I'm not going to set it up as I'm coming in hating already or I'm coming in and blindly just loving this. I will try to be fair and maybe I will love it. But I will tell you this. So here goes. I thought it was funny in parts. I thought look, Dave is he's still great at being a master storyteller.
Yes, he is.
He's still great at his delivery. You realize that a lot of jokes, right, that they're not based on the actual joke itself. It's the delivery of it. Because a lot of people say some of the same things that comedians say, but they just don't say it with the delivery and the presentation that a comedian does.
I mean, he has such a command of the stage, so much confidence in how he delivers that you can really see this is a pro. It feels like when he's up there, he's manipulating everything. He's in control of it all.
Yeah, if you can go up there and just be charismatic, control the stage, better yet, control the audience, and they sense that, but of course you got to have jokes, but have your delivery down, and that's some of the greatest comedians out there. I'm telling you right now. But I also thought it was uneven.
I'll say it was.
Okay, I didn't know how you felt about this. I still don't know how you feel about it, but y'all, I will say that, and I would love to hear your opinion about this, because I thought it started out strong. I started laughing very, very, very heavily at the beginning. The jokes about Corona, listen, I'm a sucker for relevant comedy. I'm just observational comedy. If you can tell it in a story kind of way with the right delivery, I like that a lot. And so he's talking about Corona. I know a lot of comedians are, but again, some are better than others. The Corona jokes, they had me laughing pretty strong.
Not a cough, not a booger, not a fever, nothing. When I saw these brothers beating these Asians up, it's probably what's happening inside of my body.
Now, that was not the strongest way to end that. And I was thinking, okay, I was thinking, man, some of these things are below you, Dave. Yeah. Now, he said, he'll just say words that make me laugh because I like certain words. He said, I got the Johnson & Johnson. Okay. And he said that was the most niggerish decision ever made. Sure. And I have been actually kind of pulling back from using the N-word because I just think it's overused by some. I ain't got that much against it, but I just thought, man, what a crush that word is. But niggerish? Yeah. That's still kind of funny to me, but he had a few clunkers in there, man. I mean, some that just look. Dave Chappelle's a legend. The audience paid for it. They gonna laugh at every he says.
Not only that, the audience actually through most of the first half of this was getting on my goddamn nerves. Because even just then, they were laughing too hard at everything and clapping, just it was more like, I don't care what he says. I got to say I saw Dave. I'm here. I'm in the same room with Dave. Yeah. And I'm going to tell everybody, and I'm going to Instagram it. But when he got to that punchline just then, even that audience was like, yeah. They always they collectively, and was like, thought that was going to end stronger.
I'm not offended. I just thought that would be stronger.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
And like I said, I really do believe that some things are below Dave Chappelle, man, with some of the jokes he told here. Maybe if they were in passing, cool, but he did a big setup for some things, and that just felt, in my opinion, felt flat. He did a whole big setup about interplanetary travel, and the punchline was space Jews.
I know.
And even the audience was like, all right, I'm going to force myself to laugh because I paid money for this shit.
Right.
But even they were like,
Yeah.
okay.
And didn't Mel Brooks already do that?
Yeah, and I would tell you this, there's just some things that are just not me. Not offended. Pedophile jokes, I just don't think they're funny, man. I just think they just kind of, like with the space juice thing, it was like a big setup.
A huge setup.
And the delivery was just shock. And you don't need...
Yeah.
Like just saying space juice was the shock, and Dave don't need to shock nobody. You want now, if you're gonna shock people, do it with truth.
I mean, you want to know what I think? I mean, the thing is, I have dreaded coming over here to review this because I know that what I'm going to say about this whole thing is going to be unpopular.
Yeah.
On both sides. I was like, I'm not going to win any friends here.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, that first 2/3 of it I thought was weak, and I'm not sensitive, but I thought it's kind of offensive. Actually, it could be very offensive. And it's not me clutching my pearls or virtue signaling or trying to speak for somebody else. I just thought he's really going out there shocking, being offensive on purpose. But you can do that if you come back around. You tell something, you set it up real offensive, but you come back with some real insight or something that's funny enough to match that. And every time I was like, there's not a lot of insight here, and the joke itself was way lower than the offense. And I feel like that just kept happening over and over.
Dave Chappelle has gotten to the point, I think, where he's just saying things just now to shock people. And it's not because I think he's being cheap. It's because I think he's carrying a chip on his shoulder, man. I'm going to tell you right now, okay, this is where people going to be mad because people going to say I'm too sensitive here. The gay stuff, it took up so much of this special that it feels like he had a chip on his shoulder and he dared every gay and trans person to knock it off.
Yeah, well, when you say talking about something beneath him, that's what I thought, because it just felt like he got bashed on Twitter, and rather than just shaking it off and going like, well, that's Twitter for you, he took it to heart and wanted to come back and address that. I'm like, man, you don't do that with people writing shit online and comments and comment sections and Twitter. If you sit there to try to address every one of your detractors, you will never do your actual job.
It's like, what the is wrong with you, man? Whatever these trans people said to you, they got your ass pissed, and it's making you weak, man. It's showing.
Yeah,
Like, you should be better than this, man.
That's exactly what I thought.
Like, whatever these trans people said to you, got your ass fucking. You got your ass fragile. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, what the fuck did they say? What happened with you, man?
And it's funny because that first 2/3 is all him talking about how fragile they are. And yet proving that's really, he's talking about himself.
I'm going to tell y'all something just to prove to you that I'm not sitting up here being sensitive about and trying to sit up here and show people how progressive I am by being behind the gay people. Listen, to a certain extent, I agree with them, but I'm going to tell you, I laughed at some shit that they might not be happy about, just to show you that I'm not taking sides. Because I will, God, honest truth, I laughed at a lot of things that he said that some would find, quote unquote, offensive. I thought some of that was funny. The story about fighting a lesbian, that shit was funny to me.
I mean, I will admit there are parts of that I thought were funny too. Plus, I was like, you know, it's people who are going like, because I did read something where they're like, yeah, and he talked about hitting this woman, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure this story's made up.
Yeah, and you know what? He made it sound like it was true. Yeah. So he told this story about getting into a fight with a dude that he found out was actually a lesbian, and they were getting a fight over the lesbian's girl. Yeah. And they were acting, well, to just quote what he said earlier, niggerish. You know, they were acting very, very, very
aggressive with each other.
They were acting like an aggressive dude. Yeah. And so he said he got attacked and I went off. You know, I defended myself and beat her ass. And the way he tells it and the way it and the way it's set up, I'm like, all right, you know, if this is true, I'm not offended. I see it. You got jumped on by a big ass lesbian, right?
No. Within that story he's telling, there's parts of it that is funny, and also I was like, there's a point when I realized, like, there's probably some truth in here, but this shit is embellished and made up.
Yeah,
because we would have saw it. Would have saw that everywhere.
Yes, I know he embellished
but
that
there's
shit.
people taking it, like they do with the Bible. Like, no, this is the gospel. This is exactly how it happened, word for word.
Oh, he just told it like it was like he grabbed me with that story.
Yeah,
I was into it, man, and I thought it was funny. I thought it was a great story, and that's offensive to some people. I think that he said some funny things that are offensive, and they just by themselves isolated. It's funny, man, but in the context of the bigger joke in the rant, they're not that funny. Like all the vagina jokes when he was talking about with trans people, there was a certain one I thought that's a clever line. That is a clever line. If it had been in something better, I think it would have went over better with more people.
That trans women aren't women. Tastes like pussy, but that's not quite what it is it? It's not blood, that's beat juice.
I'm sorry, y'all laughed my ass off at that shit.
That was funny.
I'm sorry. When he talked about that lesbian, he said, I tenderize her titties like chicken cutlets. I thought that was... There, he has a way with words, and they're awesome, man.
Yeah.
I even agree with him to a certain point with Caitlyn... To a certain point. With Caitlyn Jenner. When she was nominated by all these places, including Vanity Fair for Person of the Year and Woman of the Year. Now, I agree to a certain point where I thought all these people were doing it because they wanted to show how progressive they were too.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, she was putting it out there for trans people and representing. So, okay, everybody's winning, even if I don't think it's all for sincere reasons.
Yeah, even if I don't care for her as a person.
And I don't like her as a person. To be, it had nothing to do with her being trans. Mm-hmm. I don't like her that much, all right? I don't like her politics, and I don't really like her that much. And notice I respect it by saying her.
Yeah.
She actually got way disrespected at the Republican National Convention where these dudes followed her around and harassed her. And I said, now that's shitty right there, because you're just picking on her. You're finding an excuse now to go at her because she's trans, and I don't think that that's right. But I did agree with him to a certain extent on that. Mike Pence, he did a Mike Pence joke talking about Mike Pence was gay because the shit is true. Trying to pray the gay away. Thought that was funny. He did some pronoun jokes. Thought that was funny. But then there were other times I was like, are you fucking serious, man? A comedian of your stature, a comedian who is considered to be the GOAT, the great. He even referred to himself. He's like, I am the greatest of all time. All right, well then act like it. You're gonna refer to gays and put in an AIDS joke?
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, really? That's what we're doing?
That's where we are. Yeah.
Wow, an AIDS jab. I mean, I'm not even not offended. I'm offended that you just went that low because that's an amateur move.
That's somebody I expect. I expect that to come out of the mouth of somebody at an open mic.
Yeah.
That
is true.
And you're like, you know what, you got nothing and you're trying. Okay.
Yeah. But this whole trans thing, that is the biggest grudge this mother has taken around with him for years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you the irony of it. He said that, and all this comes from when he was doing two things. He told some trans jokes and admitted, like, I didn't know the words and up. I didn't tell him right. I used words that you should not use when referring to trans people. And trans people got offended and they jumped my ass. Now, if I was him and I felt like, all right, I did not understand, I would be like, okay, I can see why y'all are mad. Let me say I'm sorry. Y'all still gonna be sore about it, but hopefully I can prove to you in time that I am sincere.
Yeah.
No, this kept a grudge. And it was only exasperated more by him being at a bar. And he said that there was a trans person that rolled up on him, and he said, you know what? And I know what they're doing. What they do is, and they do this for famous people, they get the phone to their friends, have them film them walking up to the famous person, and then getting them all riled up. So then they film them getting stupid and have something to show everybody. And he said, you know what, but this ain't my first rodeo. Now, he did it me, and they got my ass.
Yeah, exactly.
But they still getting your ass. This is years later.
Yeah.
And you were still acting a fool about these trans people, and it just seems petty, man.
It does. It makes him look small.
What he did was guilty of, first of all, not coming out and telling so many jokes other than ranting, and using those rants to make to make it an us against them situation against trans people. So he tried to come out and say that trans people were punching down on black people. Now he did make a point where he said that some of these people that they are gay until they have to be white. They'll act like victims. They'll act like they're oppressed, and then when their racism comes out and they got to be white, they'll use that white to their advantage. They'll weaponize it. I'm like, okay, I can see that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm sure it does. I've actually heard about it happening. However, do you realize that there are a lot of black, Asian, and all other kind of gay people out there, and you were just going out and just ignoring them when you say something like that? They struggling like everybody else.
I know. He builds a world that's just black and white, and occasionally Asian because his wife is Asian.
Yeah, exactly. During this special, he made Oppression Olympics. You know what I'm saying? That's a term.
I know. Oh, I didn't know that was a term.
That's a term, man.
And there's people who, wow, that's such a great term when they're giving ranks and scorecards to where you are on the oppression scale.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but this whole thing, and he misses points on certain things. He talked about J.K. Rowling, and talked about how she came out and her stance on trans people. And did miss the point why people were upset with her, because you got all this money, you got all this time, and for some reason you have a hard on for these trans people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Dave has always been good about, throughout his jokes, of having some insight. And he's making it harder to see. Yeah. It's in there, but also to make his points, especially with this special a lot, he's oversimplifying so many things just to make his point. And within that point, I'm like, there is actually a nugget of something in there to talk about. Yeah. But you've kind of made that impossible because of all this smoke that you've thrown out ahead of time.
Yeah.
You've boiled it down to, you focus on such a simple point. What you said is almost a lie.
Yeah. The whole thing where he's like talking about when they called, I'm not going to go into, you can look up the term yourself, a TERF. When they're calling J.K. Rowling a TERF, he's like, well, I'm on Team TERF. And it's like, listen, it's just me, y'all. I've always said that there has been a problem with the black community accepting the gay community, accepting gay people within it. I just saw a story where a father beat the out his 10-year-old son because he thought that he showed some gay shit. And this is not helping the progress that we've had between both communities, man. It's not a us against them attitude.
Yeah, I mean, most of us are not at war, except this one that he's trying to make, or this war he's starting himself.
I do not feel like we have to sit up here and do comparison charts about which one is more oppressed, because if you read it, both those communities are having a fucked up time. If you read about all the denials that people are trying to do for gays, having services, having weddings, having facilities turned away from them, even, women are having a hard time, and, black people are having the Asians, everybody's having it rough. We don't need to be sitting up here unless it's really, really an important thing to sit up here and say like, hey man, I'm better than my oppression's better than yours. Yeah. I know people gonna be thinking like, oh, well, you just doing this because it's the PC thing to say that you're for the gays, because that's what Dave said.
I don't know about you, but I'm not, because I actually get sick when I hear people doing that. I'm like, all right, you're more woke than everybody else, and you're you're Ivanhoe the Good. I don't need all that shit. Just be a person.
And even at the near the end, he told a story, and I thought it was a great, heartfelt way to end the special. He told a story about a trans person, and I mean, you gotta listen to it. He told it so well, and it was so good. He talked about a girl he gave a shot to, and I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Just listen to it.
But when I said the first 2/3, I thought were weak. That last third, when he went into this story, I was like, now this is where he excels. Yeah, like telling the jokes was that was almost terrible, but this telling the story, this is wonderful.
Yeah, no, it was, and
I could see people turning it off before it even got there.
Yeah, that story was heartfelt. He was talking about, don't think that I'm transphobic. Now, do I think that he's transphobic? I do not. I don't think he's transphobic, but I don't think it shows in his words, and I definitely don't think his intentions show that, because I do believe that he's doing more harm than good by talking this way. And even that story that he told about the trans girl, the trans girl that he kind of took under his wing, kind of adopted her as an up and coming comedian. Now it has a very tragic ending, and again, it's something that angered him even more.
Yeah,
just fueled the fire. But after the story's told and he tells the conclusion, the tragic conclusion, and he starts to tell more jokes, it just comes across like he's almost using that story and that person to justify his aggressiveness towards trans people. It almost comes down to, well, one of my best friends are trans.
Yeah, there is that thing. Like I said, there's people who think as long as I don't call anybody a nigger, then I'm not racist.
Yeah.
And he's kind of become that way with trans people.
Yeah, and I don't think.
You could tell. You should be able to tell jokes about anybody, but they don't always have to be jokes at their expense.
Yeah. I don't think he's transphobic, but I do think his material is taking a very transphobic lean, and I don't think he realizes how much that is. And I just don't. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I just don't agree with it.
He's not aware of how harmful it is. I think another problem is terminology, in that we have transphobic, which means you hate or fear people who are trans, and we have, well, nothing. So it's rather than it being a spectrum, it's just that unless you are somebody who is a complete ally and comfortable with everything, if you show the least bit of being uncomfortable or unsure, you're labeled transphobic.
Yeah.
And there needs to be something for people, plenty of people who are in between. Like, they're like, hey, I don't have a problem with people doing that, but maybe I don't feel comfortable with it. Or I'm comfortable with it, but I don't want to date somebody who's trans. Or somebody who's like, I'm not down with it, but I'm not going to actually harm anyone.
Yeah, people, like I said, man, I really, because I don't want to hear y'all shit. If nothing else, I don't want y'all. I ain't even going to the comment sections when this goes up.
Oh, yeah, you can forget about that.
I ain't even looking at that shit. I'm not even gonna bother with it, y'all. I'm not even dealing with it. But because there's gonna be a lot of mad people out there, and I'm just not gonna. I'm stuck with it, man. But I am more on the side of the people that are saying that, Dave, you're better than this, man.
Mm-hmm. That's what I kept thinking the whole time, until he gets to the last part where he tells the story, and I thought, this is brilliant. I could sit and listen to a whole show of this.
Yeah, amazing storyteller. But just stop. I mean, it's at a point, man. It's funny because I looked at this, because we're doing live shows out there and whatnot, and I just like, man, just don't do shit just to be shocking. And man, you can shock if it's in some context, but just don't say something just to be shocking out there. Don't attack people just to be attacking.
Attacking. It's like, I'm all for just teasing people and getting them to not take themselves too seriously. But not attacking, having people going home, groups of people going home feeling bad. They feel like they got attacked, like they got insulted.
I just want to ask y'all one thing, man. I want to ask you one thing right here. For all the people that are getting mad, imagine that you are of any group, white, black, Asian, and you're sitting at a show with somebody that is 2/3 of their show is just harping on you. Mm-hmm. Now, imagine you're a trans person sitting in this audience.
Where most people are not.
And they dare you not to laugh. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine how uncomfortable that would be if you have to sit there and listen to Dave go off against you and then almost insultingly say, but I'm not transphobic? It's like, come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. I was just thinking the whole time, if a poor trans person was in that audience right now, that would be so uncomfortable for them.
Yeah. Especially if they've been somebody who's been like, man, you people are too sensitive. The guy's just telling jokes.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring some friends and we'll see. And then just sit there the whole time like, oh, my God, what have I done?
Yeah. Have some empathy, man, and then think about that. Everybody wants their laughs. Everybody, it comes back to what I always say. Don't nobody want their shit taken away. People love Dave Chappelle. They want to continue to love Dave Chappelle. If people's world up, if you take Dave Chappelle away, if they really adore him. But come on, man. Let's just call it for what it is. This is not great comedy.
Yeah.
Some of it is brilliant. There's some gems in there. pure gems, but this is not that great. And I have to agree with the criticisms out there, and I don't want to.
I don't want to. I know, because I'm always like, well, if y'all are gonna pick on him, I'll tell you why he's not so bad. But I was like,
I don't know, man. What would you rate it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I give it a rental. It's on TV. That, like I said, that last third saves it. Well, saves it might be a stretch, but that part was good. But if I paid money to see this, I'd be upset.
I give this a matinee. I mean, I'm sorry, man. I'm give this a rental also. Yeah, it's a rental. I mean, I looked at it, got some laughs. It's on Netflix. Don't feel like my time was wasted, but definitely was disappointed. Prop Mark said, Corey don't know funny stand-up. Well, then I don't want to. Then if this is what it is,
you do.
That's somebody just talking shit.
Okay.
Hey, look, if this is funny comedy, then I don't know funny stand-up then. You got me. I don't know it at all. I'm ignorant. I don't know one bit. I'm thinking about what if the guy's Puerto Rican? I'm mad at him. 10 years later, I'm going to be talking about Puerto Ricans.